Hello everyone, and on today's episode of Tech Lab, we are going to be looking at the Jetson electric bike. Let's get started. Hello and welcome back for another episode of Tech Lab, the show where we talk about anything and everything tech-centric. Sorry for the delay. We've been having a bit of trouble lately trying to get an episode out, period, because we decided to move. Thankfully, I only moved like next door, so it wasn't all that bad, but it was just really weird. So, today we are looking at something that you wouldn't normally consider when talking about tech. An e-bike. No, it's not an exercise bike. No, those are relatively stationary unless you get creative and decide to make them movable for some reason. No, we're talking about an actual electric bike that runs. This is the Jetson Bolt. The Jetson Bolt is a 34-pound, 250-watt powered e-bike that really doesn't require any kind of pedals to get moving. However, if you do manage to get yourself stuck by running the battery out, you're kind of going to get stuck just walking everywhere until you can get back to a plug. But I'm getting too far ahead here, so let's just get to the setup process. The setup is one of the easiest things you can do. All you really have to do is get the bike out, get the seat and the rear tire cover out, and take off all the tags and the plastic on the screen. Out of the box, you'll be able to start using it immediately, but you'll only get about 12 miles per hour max, which is honestly pretty good as far as, well, just making sure you don't slam into a dumpster or something. But you can actually increase the speed to the maximum of 15 miles per hour via the app. However, the app itself is kind of a mess, so it's a little questionable, but that's really all I'm going to say about that for the moment. Actually using the bike is a total piece of cake. All you have to do is click the power button, flip up the handles if you obviously haven't done so, usually doing this in reverse by the way, and pretty much just pull down, or rather, twist down the right handlebar to start the bike. Now, just a warning, you will reach top speed very quickly, so make sure you acclimate accordingly. And also, the bike can be stored in a fold-down position, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Now, when it comes to actually moving around on the bike, it's pretty relaxed, if a little sensitive. But this bike is a little iffy on gravel, so you can really feel it once you're going through those bumps, so keep that in mind. And just try to stick to regular old roads and bike paths whenever possible, just to get the best experience out of the bike itself. When it comes to battery life, the bike can go about 5 hours or 15 miles on a single charge, which is comfortable for cruising around a small city like mine and saving energy as far as like walking or something. Now, as far as the bike's battery is actually concerned, it's a lithium-ion battery that runs 250 watts overall for the bike. As far as the bike itself is concerned, you have the bike's natural things that you would find on it, like a bell. And you also have the ability to use cruise control, but in my experience, I've only got that to work once, and it's been finicky ever since, so I'm probably just not going to use it again for the time being. Of course, this bike also has a light switch to control the front and back lights on the bike, and you can also use a brake light, which is really nice, because normally you have to rely on hand signals for that, so normally it's just a huge headache. But of course, the bike also has an aluminum frame, and because of this, it is about 35 pounds, and so it's a little heavy, but not terrible. And the bike takes about 5 hours to charge properly, and that's assuming it's completely depleted. Otherwise, it usually doesn't take very long. Now, of course, attention really should be paid so you don't lose battery power, otherwise you'll wind up stuck in a crosswalk or something. And finally, there is a weight limit to this bike at the expense of speed. Like, if you're over 250 pounds, naturally the bike's going to be going slower up hills. so you should really keep that in mind. Naturally, the price for this bike is about $400 US on the Jetson website. While you can also find it at places like Costco as well, it's pretty safe to assume that if you're watching this, you're probably getting it off the website, or you're just kind of curious. Honestly, I don't even know if my Costco has it, and this is coming from somebody who has a Costco literally one town over, so honestly, I have no idea. But if yours sells it, more power to you. Heck, yours might if you're actually, whenever you're watching this. But anyways, let's move on to the conclusion before I start rambling. So, when it comes to beginner e-bikes, the Jetson Bolt has proven to be extremely flexible within the limits of a city. Turning 1-hour walks to the nearest Walmart, at least in cases like mine, or 10-minute walks to work, which is my average for getting out to my work, into a fraction of its initial time. And so far, I've heard over the internet that some people have had issues with batteries completely crapping out, or your screen going completely dead, or things like that. But so far, I've had no issues there. But you never know. So, aside from the slightly uncomfortable seat, and just kind of forgetting that these are here instead of pedals, I haven't really ran into any issues with it. Of course, Jetson does have a pedal-based equivalent of the Jetson Bolt called the Jetson Bolt Pro. However, you don't get the option of being able to use Bluetooth, so you're pretty much going to have to guess with the speed of the bicycle, even if you do get an extra cut, even if you do get like 30 miles in range with pedal assist. Aside from that, it's also $100 more, so it was just a little out of my budget for this episode. But let's just say that's really about it. If you like what you saw, great. If you didn't, that's not so great. But hey, thanks for watching anyways. And we will see you all next time for episode 10, wherein we finally go over my second PC build, like, ever. Then that build was codenamed FA20. So, thank you all for watching, and have a good one.